Hey guys, just want to quickly go over the answers from yesterday. We have 2 liters, that's 2,000 milliliters because 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. 5, I have 8 grams, that's 8,000 milligrams because there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram, so that'd be 8 multiplied by 1,000. 3 kilograms, well there's 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so 3 multiplied by 1,000 is 3,000. And then for 7, we have 7 liters. Well, there's 1,000 milliliters in a liter, so since there's 7 of them, that'd be 7,000. Finishing out these charts, well, we can see every liter is adding another 1,000 milliliters, so 7,000, then 8,000, 9,000. For kilograms, well, 3 kilograms was 3,000 grams, so 4 would be 4,000, 5, 5,000, 6, 6,000. For number 12, it was asking how many grams are in a 9 kilograms. So 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, so 9 kilograms, 9,000 grams. 13 was review. It was asking what 2 tons was. Well, 1 ton was 2,000 pounds, so I have 2 groups of those. 2,000 plus 2,000 would be 4,000 pounds. And then for 16 and 17, 16 the answer was C, and 17 the answer was D. All right, so we're going to be moving out of these conversions. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is area and perimeter. So they should be familiar terms, but we're going to be doing it a little differently now. We're actually going to be using a formula. So just quick definitions. Perimeter is the lengths of all sides of a polygon combined. So we're adding all the sides, the lengths of all the sides together. We get the perimeter. A polygon is a two-dimensional shape, three or more sides. And then area is the amount of space inside a polygon. So volume, we talked about how much space it took up. That was of a 3D object. Area is just like a flat object. So in 4th grade, we always work with rectangles. So my drawings aren't perfect rectangles, but right here we have a rectangle. It's important to know that we look at the sides that are adjacent, that are next to each other. So we have length is going to be one of them, and width is the other. I could have switched these around. It doesn't matter. That as long as one is designated length, one's designated the width, it's fine. And then with a rectangle, we should know that opposite sides are equal. So if this length was 2, this length would be 2. If this width was 1, that would be 1. Opposite sides are equal. And we use these, the length and width, to find area and perimeter. And a lot of times we'll see length as an L. A lot of times when you handwrite it, it could be a cursive L, so you don't confuse it with a 1. And then width would be a W. So, first problem I have is find the area and perimeter. Well, you may be saying, how do I find the area and perimeter? Well, in 3rd grade, you counted squares. I don't see squares here. Yes, I could do an array, but that's not worth my time. Let's look at our handy-dandy reference sheet, our cheat sheet. All the way down at the bottom, we have some formulas. We have A equals LW and P equals 2L plus 2W. What do you think that one stands for? What do you think that one stands for? Yeah, I'm like Dora the Explorer. You answered me, and I'm like, yeah, you got it. This would be area. This would be perimeter. So let's write down the formula, because whenever you work with formulas, you should always write down the formula. Area equals length times width. So when 2 variables, because these are 2 variables, are next to each other like that, that means multiplication. So this is area equals length times width. Now all I have to do is just plug in my numbers. Area equals, well, my length is 6 feet, and that's going to be multiplied by my width, which is 4 feet. So area, I'm going to multiply 6 multiplied by 4 would be 24, and the units become square units, in this case square feet. If you remember, because this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, so we'd see that there's a bunch of squares being created. That was kind of a not so great drawing to show that, but that's why it's square feet. And now to find perimeter. Perimeter was, it's going to be done a little differently in 4th grade. In the past, you would just add up all of your sides, which is still acceptable. We know that this is going to be 6 feet and this is going to be 4 feet. So I could add 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. I could do that. Or I can use our formula, which is 2L plus 2W. So when we talked about a variable and a variable being next to each other, that means multiplication. What do you think a number and a letter next to each other would mean? That means multiplication. So the one thing I don't like about this formula is that they didn't put parentheses in there. They technically don't need to. You're going to learn more about that in 5th grade. But I like to keep my parentheses around each one. And when you see parentheses, usually that means you're going to work on that first, or if you see a bracket or something. So I know I'm going to do this first, then this one, and then add them together. So all I have to do is just plug in my numbers. So this would be 2 times my length, which is 6 feet. Okay, and then plus 2 times my width, which would be 4 feet. And I could solve inside each parentheses first. So this would be 2 multiplied by 6 feet. That would be 12 feet plus 2 multiplied by 4 feet, which would be 8 feet. And now all I have to do is just add those together. My perimeter would now be 20 feet. 12 plus 8 is 20 feet. And it's not square feet at all because it's literally feet going across. That one stays the same. So we can use these formulas to help us figure out the answers to these problems. So that's going to be straightforward area and perimeter. Now, in 4th grade, they throw some kind of curveballs at you. It's a similar skill finding area and perimeter, but sometimes it's a little backwards. So I have some examples here, and we both want to solve for n. So number 1, I noticed they gave us the length, they gave us the area, but they didn't give us the width. I need to find the width. How am I going to do that? Well, like I said, whenever we deal with area or perimeter problems, always start with that formula. So our formula was area equals length times width. I'm going to plug in exactly what I have. Well, the area was 24 square feet. So I'm going to plug that in. 24 square feet equals, I have my length, which was 6, whoops, that was a mistake by me. That should be feet. They should be the same units. 6 feet. So 24 square feet and 6 feet, and I do not know my width. So looking at this, 24 equals 6 multiplied by something. Well, what times 6 gets me 24? I could divide 24 by 6, or I think backwards. What times 6 gets me 24? Well, 4 multiplied by 6 is 24, so my width must be 4 feet. Because 4 feet multiplied by 6 feet would get me 24 square feet. So we're working backwards with that formula. All right, number 2. Again, this one's going to be a little different. I have my length, I don't have my width, and I have my perimeter. So I'm always going to start with my formula. Perimeter equals 2 multiplied by length, 2 multiplied by the width. So I have my perimeter, which is 16 meters. That would be 2 times 3 meters plus 2 times something, 2 multiplied by my width. So solving what I can, 16 meters equals 6 meters, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2w still, double the width. So I could think my perimeter, this is going to be a little different. I know the total is going to be 16 meters. I'm going to subtract 6. I know that that's already been taken by my double the length. So I'm left with 10 meters. So 10 meters is 2 times my width. Well, what times 2 gets me 10? Well, 5 times 2 gets me 10, so my width must be 5 meters. Width must be 5 meters. This one's a little more difficult to kind of work through. So a lot of times I'll see students solve it in this way. It's not using the formula per se, but it's a way that can work. So we have 16 is our perimeter. Let's see, we have 3 plus 3, so they do 16, and they add these together, 3 plus 3, which is 6. All right, so that would be 10. So they're left with 10, but there's 2 parts of the 10, and since they're the same, they take whatever's left over and then divide by 2, and we get 5. So, oh, can't really see that there. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, so you get 5. And then the last problem that I have to show you guys today would be finding the area of a shaded section. If I can get this to work, there we go, of a shaded section. So this is actually something that happens in real life. If I wanted to create a patio, if I wanted a wood patio, but there's going to be a table in the middle, well, how much wood would I, or if I was going to paint that wood, how much paint would I need? I'm not going to count that middle part, so that would be blank. So I want to find the area of this shaded part. Well, for this shape here, there's actually 2 shapes in here. We have a larger rectangle and a smaller one. So this smaller one is like someone cut it out and took it out. Well, what operation would it be if you were to cut something and take it out? That would be subtraction. So what we could do is find the area of what this whole rectangle would be, pretending this was shaded in. Then I could find the area of this little piece here, and then subtract the 2. So let's do that. So let's do the area of the large rectangle. So area of the large rectangle, I just do a little L to know that it's the large one, equals length times width. So let's see, area of the L one, my length would be 5 yards, my width is 4 yards. So the area of the large rectangle would be 20 square yards. But that would be including this little piece. Well, what would the area of this little piece be? So again, solving that, starting with my formula like I always do, area of the small one is length times width. Area of the small one would be 1 yard multiplied by 2 yards. So the area of the small one would be 2 square yards. So the whole thing, including this part, is 20 square yards. This small part is 2 square yards. So to find out what the shaded part is, I'd have to subtract that small part. So I would have to do 20, and I'm going to subtract 2, and I would get 18. So the area of the shaded section is 18 square yards. I have to find out that large whole area, find out that small missing part, and subtract the 2. And that's how we can find that shaded part. So for our practice problems, going to be done a little differently because the book, I don't really like their practice problems, so I created some of my own. So number 1, I want you to find the area and perimeter of this rectangle, 7 miles by 8 miles. Number 2, I want you to solve for n. You have the area, you have one side, I want the other side. Number 3, I gave you the perimeter. I guess I should make it so you could see the perimeter. Number 3, I gave you the perimeter. Here is one side, there's the other side. Solve for n. And then the last one, find the area of the shaded piece. This is 2 and 10, and then 15 and 5. So my advice would be to pause the video just right now, so that way you can look at all the problems. And I will start going over tomorrow. Or, wow, that was a struggle. I will start tomorrow by going over these problems. All right, if you have any questions, be sure to message me. I don't think anyone's messaged me yet. It would be fantastic if someone did. If I could give Eagle Buck, I would. But that's all I have for today. So I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.